like to wake up every day with purpose, with passion, bettering your life, bettering the lives of people around the world. That's exactly what I've gotten to do at ASEA. And I want to share with you in this interview a conversation with a woman that I met that lives on the other side of the world. You know, what's interesting with the network marketing space is it spreads person to person, and slowly it grows country to country, and you will start to expand your own network and get to meet people from all over the world when you join a business like this. And so you get to embrace different cultures, different ideas, but there are some principles that underlie the business of network marketing and the business of ASEA specifically that I want to share with you. So in this interview, Julie and I have a conversation about how you can get to a diamond level in your business, the things that she did that were successful, how she helps new team members, and what it takes to be able to build a global business. All right, well, Julia, it was so good to spend time with you when I was down there in Australia and to get to know you a little bit on a deeper level. And I'm just so grateful that you're here to share some of your wisdom with everybody. So thanks so much for meeting with me today.
Oh, thank you for asking me, Danielle. It's lovely to be here.
Well, if you could, can you share a little bit with everyone about your background? Where are you from? Where do you live? And what did you do before you found ASEA?
Okay, so well, before I found ASEA, so I'll start with where I am right now, which is on a little coastal, in a little coastal town called Agneswater. That's in Queensland, Australia. And I've lived here only for about 2 or 3 years. And before that, I was in the Blue Mountains in just out of Sydney.
Nice.
And I grew up actually, so I won't go through the whole detail, but I've been all over the place. Like I grew up in New Guinea, so a long way away.
Oh, wow.
So I love being here in Queensland. Yeah. And so when I came across ASEA, I'll just go back to my background when, leaving school and things like that. I was very much into natural health and natural therapies. I was studying nutrition. I was studying actually naturopathy, finished the nutrition and reflexology and things like that, and worked as a natural therapist for a while until I had children. And then I did things on and off, consultancy, that sort of thing, on and off. From a previous, my degree was in recreation management, which might sound really weird, but it's basically business and leisure together. Sounds ridiculous. Sounds like you sit on a banana chair, but
Yeah,
no.
right.
So I did do a bit of consultancy in that, but got to the stage with my third child that I really wanted to stay home and work from home. So I had studied the Steiner early childhood course, and just as an interested parent. And I started a little family daycare and I loved it. It was a complete passion for me. But during that time, during my early 40s, I became really, really tired, like exhaustion, so that in the afternoons when my children came home from school, I was having trouble opening my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Like not opening my eyes, but keeping myself awake and present.
Yeah.
I was so tired, and a lot of things would have me wanting to spend the whole day in bed. And I was going to practitioners who were wonderful, and there was one particular one who I'd go to twice a week, and if I didn't, I'd end up cancelling the little family daycare, which is a preschool program, so lots of parents relying on that. Wow. So I was really searching. We had built an eco home, which we loved. It was a straw bale home. Everything in it was, all the paints were no-bok and all the materials were sustainable and healthy. And we had grounder water. So we had, living water plumbed through the house, and we had no Wi-Fi. We had so many different things that we considered in that house for health. And here was I, so unwell, really,
Wow.
not much energy at all.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it wasn't for me that we came across ASEA, but my husband had a sun issue on his face. Huh. And I had a friend who I saw a post from. I just saw a before and after photo and thought, wow, this might be helpful for Mark, my husband, and rang him. And it was Renew 28 that he was using. And so I knew it was network marketing. And so at the time I said to my friend Sepp, who was the one who made that post, and I said, okay, I'd love to order just that gel, but just so we're so clear, I have no interest in a business. And he said, thank you for your clarity. That's great. And we got the gel, and I started to see Mark's face just repair. And that was so interesting to me because I'd always had an interest in health. And that's when I realized there was a drink and what would happen if I drank it. So it was all about that for me. Before I had found ASEA, the point that I was at with every meal was uncomfortable. Digestion was uncomfortable every single meal. I, had that total lack of energy. That had been around about 5 years. And I just had a lot of things going on. I looked white and pasty and sort of pale. And, of course, I was doing my best with it. I had come to acceptance and was going, this is my spiritual path. I'm just going to do whatever I need to do to make my life work like this. But the thought of actually taking this and seeing what happens, it was another sort of, I've tried everything, but here I go. And it was fascinating because the first 30 mils, which, how much is that, 1 ounce?
Nothing.
Yeah, just it's tiny amount, So I'm pouring that. It's clear. It looks like nothing. I take one bit of it, and it tastes a little bit like pool water because I was just really didn't have a lot of redox in me, redox signaling happening, and I cleansed that every hour from that time. I was having this absolute obvious and exciting for me because, I had a background in natural therapies. I knew that I needed that detox pathway opening up and me completely cleaning out. I tried so many cleansers in the past that didn't really do a lot.
Wow.
And so 3 days at 30 mils. And then after that, I didn't notice a lot. So after 3 weeks, I had this mental clarity that was beautiful. My son was 20 at the time, and I hadn't had that level of mental clarity since then, really, since his birth. And so then this clarity came, and at the same time as the clarity came a feeling of emotional well-being. And also it was a really clear gut repair indication because my gut, I started to not have pain after meals. So that went away, and that was delightful. But 2 months in, that's all I could say. Whereas 2.5 months in of taking ASEA, I was feeling energetic, well, had lots of energy. In the afternoons when my children got home from school, I was present. I was not trying to keep myself awake. I was really present and had energy and was doing the things I wanted to do. So it really allowed me to be the mom I wanted to be. It allowed me to do my life like I wanted,
Yeah. Redox is such a blessing.
So that's
so
such a blessing. It totally changed my life and my mum's as well. So that happened pretty quickly after. But at the 4-month mark, I'd say I lost a lot of inflammation. So I was really puffy before that. And the inflammation just came off my body. And so people thought what have you done? You've just lost so much weight. And I obviously had color in my face and a spring in my step, And so people were asking me all the time, what happened? What just happened there? It was quite clear and obvious. And I couldn't help myself. I'm like, oh, you need to know about this stuff. Do you know about this stuff? And I couldn't even say the words redox signaling molecules at the time. But I'd say, okay, there's this stuff. You need to ring Sepp and he'll tell you about it. And so that's what I was doing. And there was a point at which I'd ring Sepp and I'd ask questions every now and again, like, well, what about this? Or what about that? And I'd say, what would it be like if I did do the business? And he laughed and he said, very much like what you're doing now. Like all of that. You're just telling people who need to know, who deserve to know and have that possibility, telling them about it. And that's all I was doing and what I do naturally anyway. It's my personality to help if I can, and I think for most humans, that's the truth. We will help if we can. So that's the point at which I went, oh, and then I started to earn money because, of course, Sepp wasn't just helping these people himself, I had an account because at the time in Australia, that was the only way you could buy a SEA. You had to have an account.
Oh,
Whereas nowadays, of course, we have customers and no
right.
one needs to have an account. You buy as a customer, preferred or retail, whatever. But then, yeah, we had accounts. So I had got the account so I could have a wholesale price. And he had just enrolled people under me. And when I finally said, can I talk about this? Can we talk about this? And he said, yep, let's do it. He showed me the computer and there were 70 people there, which was, you know, a lot. I actually cried. I went, how did all these people get here? And it was not just the people that I had recommended they called Sepp. It was also people that they were enrolling at the time and that were coming in with them. So this absolute beautiful synergy of being able to help people, which is always what I've wanted to do, which is always why I was studying natural therapies in the first place anyway. And a business that actually could let me be at home with my children because my youngest was just coming out of early childhood and I was ready to let go of the family daycare. It was a total passion when I did it. And then there was this year when she was just out of early childhood where I didn't feel like it was a calling anymore, you know, and I never wanted to be around children unless I was totally 100% wanting to be with them, you know. I think it's so important that the people that are with them want that so much. So that was the first, like I had just inklings of it and I thought, right, there's a career change to come now.
Oh, I
And
love
this
it.
turned up at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how things
Yeah.
unfold. And I love just how you said, well, I was going to share anyway. Like if people are asking me, if they're wanting to know, like it's so good when things work, we tell people our favorite recipes, like where we get the best water, like all of these things we talk and we tell
Yeah,
people. And I just love how
absolutely.
Sepp was just naturally saying, like, I'm sure smiling in the background, going, she has no idea that she's building this business. and so when you finally say, well, what does it look like? And he says, exactly what you're doing. you know,
Exactly. It's so funny.
yeah, people complicate things, right? It sounds maybe a little overwhelming to start a business and to like do all of it. It sounds like it's a lot, but it's really not. You know, network marketing is so simple. It's just, well, you just share something with people, you connect them with resources, and then if they want to do it, they do it. If they also want to tell people, they'll also tell
Yeah.
people. Like, when you get down to it, it's really that foundational. So now, kind of years on from this, you obviously have probably refined a little bit how you talk about the products. And I always love hearing, like,
Abs-
when you share about redox, how do you describe it to other people? How do you describe these products that we work with?
Well, I will point out that they're really different from anything else that I had ever come across,
Mhm.
and that they're actually restoring the communication between cells. They're that part of us. They're in every cell in our body. We're making them all the time, and if we weren't, we wouldn't be here. So I just say they're those molecules that are there to detect anything going wrong, repair and replace cells, and protect. And so really that's your body's repair mechanism. So
Mhm.
when we don't, and I just talk about how as we get older, we produce less.
Mhm.
That by the time we're 50, we're usually producing around 50% of what we produced as a 10-year-old. That when we're 70, we're usually producing around 10% of what we produced as a 10-year-old. And so when you know a 10-year-old cuts themselves, it'll repair so quickly. And then a 70-year-old cuts themselves, and it may or may not, you know, depending on their body's ability to repair itself. And so if that we can replenish those molecules in the body is amazing. That we can replenish it, and our bodies are so magnificent. They know what to do. We just need to give back what they don't have anymore. So that's generally where I'll start, and
Yeah.
most people can understand that. Like, okay, and you know, just also the fact that toxins around us, lifestyle issues, sometimes accidents. I know in your case it was an accident, particularly. Sometimes these things damage our body's ability to produce. these molecules. And so if we can just replenish, it makes a massive difference to our health and well-being. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautifully said. You make it simple, you make it understandable for people. And I mean, that's the key in something like this, is the simplicity, so that other people can understand it, they can get on board with it, they can get started with it. Now, it seems like you sort of perfectly stumbled into this opening up, right? The door closed on the daycare. You felt that there was a shift happening. What was it that excited you about, I call it being a pioneer, because quite frankly, when you're talking about a revolutionary health technology, something that I believe is truly a breakthrough in the biotech space, like, you need some ridicule, some people that oppose this idea,
Yeah.
I think it's a little ridiculous. And so
Yes,
I
you
do
do.
believe that, there was a phase of people being pioneers saying like, hang on a second, I see this, I get it, and I'm going to be the one to bring it to the masses. So talk to me about like what excited you about partnering with ASEA, about being a pioneer with this company, with this technology.
Okay, so I knew that I was doing everything I could for my health. I knew I was eating organic food straight from my garden, living water, lots of sunshine, meditation, spiritual work, all the things. I was doing it, and I had tried many different things. I knew that. And so I felt there was a part of me that knew that our bodies are able to heal anything. So what is it? What is this missing link? And so having that experience of becoming well like that made me go, ah, and so many people need this. Yeah. So it was really that it felt like immoral
Mm.
to not tell someone about it. That was the truth. And I was a little bit shy at times. I have been shy in my life. And so at that point, I made this deal with myself that it's not about me, it's about that person. And people deserve to know what they do with it, whatever. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I have no attachment to them doing anything.
Right.
But I do think that I'm going to hold myself accountable to allowing this to be out there in the world, because it's such a breakthrough and it is so helpful for people. And then I had a look at the company, and the company has such integrity and is a organization that I'm so proud to be, involved with. But at the time, as I looked in, it looked too good to be true, because they were talking about their ethos, which is exact. And most companies will not live that. But every interaction I had with people from this company, they were living that ethos, and they were humble, and had integrity and ethics. And I was so impressed by that. And then when you look at the financial part of it as well, um, it was very quick that I was able to earn some more money. And I'll tell you, that made a difference in my life. Like the first $50 extra per week that came in, my daughter had been asking for horse riding lessons, and we hadn't been able to stretch our budget at that point. And when that came in, we're like, oh, here's the horse riding
Hey.
lesson money. So there were like things that happened that changed our lives financially that were really beautiful. And I saw that possible for other people too. I saw a lot of people in financial need, and I've had some beautiful things happen in my team with that. And so it was all of those things really. I mean, every time I looked further into the company, you'd see the Advancing Life Foundation. And at the time, they were really working a lot with helping to find child trafficking, like helping to rescue, but also have those traffickers arrested, and using technology to do that and funding that. And I just loved that, because that's always been something that's really disturbed me in life, that's happening in our world. And so there were lots of things about it, ASEA, the company, that I was a total yes about. So it was worth it. It was like there was no part of me that would allow myself not to.
Yeah. You felt almost like
Not to tell people that this was here.
yeah, I'm like resonating so much with what you're saying, because I too felt like a responsibility. It's like, well, hang on a second. I think I went through this journey and learned about this because I meant to pay it forward and to give it to other people. And when something is so
Exactly.
good, how could you not, share it? So talk to me a little bit about, because you've built up a strong business and have been able to help a lot of people. You've reached levels that many look forward to reaching, right? The diamond rank is an exciting rank, and it requires a team of people. You can't get there alone. And so talk to me about, how do you support your team members? Like, what is your process to help somebody get started in sharing?
So I like to make sure people understand the background information at first. So Alan Noble has a site called redoxtraining.com. I will ask them to go to that and look at the fast start training, but also look at the next level marketing, because I think that's so important, because that's how we are in the world. And I have to say, most people, and I know the latest two people that I've brought on, when they were watching that, they were fist pumping. They were like, yes, this is so good. And this is what I found too. It's like, you need to know all about it, not just that our products are remarkable and life-changing for many people, but that we have this background information too. So I'll ask them to look at that. Really, it's about relationships. So I will let them know that I will walk with the walkers and I'll run with the runners. So if they want me to run with them, they're going to have to show me that they're the people to run with, and how they would do that is by putting me in front of people. And we just do a lot of Zoom calls and three-way calls. And at first, I'm intensely helping people to start their business. And because we do it so thoroughly, they very quickly become able to run their business themselves. And we just are really checking in as mentors, in a very, like, there's always a friendship that happens because of that. So yeah, I like to start there.
Beautiful. It's a good place to start. And it is a relationship business. 100% is. Talk to me about, like, if you were to reflect on all of your years in business, the things you've learned along the way, what would you say is like the most successful action that you've taken in your business?
Okay. I think rather than an action, it would be an attitude. And the attitude is non-attachment. So I think, and actually it wasn't me that this comes from Alan Noble. I was so very quick early on in my ASEA journey. So I've started in the August, and I think the next year, early in the year, I was in the Bahamas on a trip that we had won, we had earned, which was just so beautiful. And I was on the beach with another family. We were on the beach, and the girls were playing. Our daughter was there with us, and the girls were playing together. And I was talking to the dad, and I didn't know who he was because I was so new. But I said to him, so I later find out that's Alan Noble. But anyway, and all he said was, "I'm Alan," right? He didn't. Yeah. But and I said, "You seem familiar." But anyway, I asked him, "Okay, what do you think that is there one thing that all of these leaders that are at these higher levels, is there one thing they all have that you could tell me about?" And he said, they all have different personalities completely, as you can see. Like, some are bubbly, some are introverts, some are, they're all so varied. There's nothing similar, except this one thing, and that's it. That's that they don't get attached to the outcome when they speak to people. They just allow this freedom for people, and right from the very beginning. And so I loved that, because when I decided, yes, this was in the August. So in the April, I got some gel, and in the August, I said, yes, I'm going to do this. Okay. And at that point, I wrote out an intention for my business, and the intention was joyfulness, non-attachment, and kindness. And that's been the umbrella over this business. And for me, it was like, I'm either going to do this my way with those words, or I'm not going to do it at all. And so that was always the intention. So the non-attachment, that is definitely what I see when people become okay with just whatever that person needs in front of them. I feel like that's a successful action that happened there, if the non-attachment is present.
Yeah. Oh, well said. Solid advice. That is, yeah, that's
Good.
absolutely the theme that runs around, and I see it. It's a learned skill, right? To be able to care, but to care less, right? It's like you're not being careless about the conversations, but you just care less about how each one goes because you know you're doing what you can, right? The divine is working through you in what you're doing, and people will either resonate with it or they won't. And it's not for you to determine that, right? They have the autonomy to decide. So
Exactly.
it makes a big,
Yeah,
big difference. People don't feel the pressure then, which is a very different energy versus pushing something onto someone or them kind of being attracted with, well, hang on, what is it that you have? It's very different energy. So I love that.
exactly.
I guess as
And
we go,
we're not looking for people I really feel like we're not looking for people who need any convincing. We're just looking for those people that are looking for us. So if somebody with a curiosity conversation doesn't go, oh, tell me more, what, if they're not doing that, then I just let it go. It's fine. We don't need everyone
yeah.
to do anything. you know, we're just looking for those that are looking for us.
Oh, it's beautifully said. You nailed it. I'd like to end with just one more question, and that is if there was someone that was out there maybe looking at ASEA, thinking, maybe this is something I want to join, but I'm not so sure. What advice would you give someone about giving a go with ASEA, doing something like this? What would you say to that person?
I would say you have absolutely nothing to lose. You only have so much to gain there. It's so worth even even if, let's say, you look completely and decide, no, I'm a no about that. Honestly, you will have been gifted in the process. It's a beautiful thing. I think, when I rang Sepp and I said, I don't want a business, I just want to order some gel. Um, and he said, thank you so much for your clarity. I really appreciate it. There was a lot of goodness there for me. I love that. I love that when people, there's no push. And I feel like if you're looking at ASEA, you're really likely to be seeing something that's quite different and amazing. And it's a gift. So just go ahead. In 5 years' time, you're not going to thank yourself for not looking. You absolutely are not. You know, I think your older self will thank you very much if you look, and especially if it's a match for you. If it's a match for you, this has changed my life dramatically in every way.
Mhm.
We live here where we live because we were able to move when my husband was asked to do something at work he didn't want to do. And he was able to let go of his job
Amazing.
because we had the income from ASEA. So that meant we could move house, for example. So yeah, I am so grateful to my younger self for looking and not being too skeptical, because I was skeptical. I did ask lots of questions, but enough to get the answers. There's answers out there. The
Mhm.
other thing I'd say is you could just Google it, and there are a couple of sites. There's only really a couple that have some information, and it sounds a little bit credible when you read it if you don't know anything. But the second you know a little bit, you'll realize that that's just opinion and completely untrue. And if you just ask the question, is it salt water? We can answer that question. Is network marketing really like evil, like they're saying, or really, no, it's actually, in my opinion, the most ethical and moral way to do business. It's all about people being empowered. And so I would say, don't just Google it. Go to the person who has told you about ASEA and ask the questions. Be brave enough to be honest and ask, well, I'm worried about this bit or that bit. And then you get some really good information. You get solid information. So that would
Mm.
be my suggestion.
Woman, you are so wise. This was so refreshing to talk with you. I love the way that you shared that. And I actually fell victim to one of those websites when my mom first brought this to me. I saw, I think it was like sciencebasedmedicine.com or something. And I took it
Yeah.
as truth. And then it was pointed out to me years later, like, Danielle, did you look up anything else on that site? And I said, no. They said, go back to it. Acupuncture, chiropractic, anything that didn't involve a pill, they were bashing. And I finally went, oh my gosh, that's who's behind it. And so, of course, they're going to make anything else look bad. And you know, the research that we have now, like I've got videos on YouTube on my channel showing like a test that you can show that it's not salt and water anymore. Like it's just, it's laughable, right? Once you actually have the facts.
It
And
is.
I don't know how anyone could listen to you and not feel the heart, the authenticity, the reality of exactly what you said with the network marketing space, that it's like the purest way of being able to do business, right? And you're sharing something that resonates with you, you're helping others. I think there are people that perhaps do it wrong, or they're learning and they do it poorly as they're going, but the essence of the model is to empower the people, to rise up, to be able to create a life that they want. And like, that's the world I want to live in. And I know it's the world you want to live in, which is how we now on other
Yeah.
sides of the world have been connected through this community. And it's such a blessing. Side benefit of ASEA that I didn't know coming in was being able to meet incredible souls like you, to spend time on the other side of the world, getting to know you, having dinner with you. And I just, you're such a blessing to the people that come across your path, to your team and to the ASEA family. So I just want to say thank you so much for all you're doing, and for spending the time with me now to have this conversation.
I could say those exact same words back to you, Danielle. Like, you're just such a blessing to so many people. And I so appreciate that you would fly over there for us as well, to Australia, and speak at the convention. And it was just wonderful. Like, it was so helpful. So thank
Oh.
you for being the beautiful soul that you are.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if you're listening to this, guys, and you want to reach out to either of us. In the description, there is information. You can get in touch. WhatsApp's probably the easiest way. Any questions you have, put it in the comments. If we're back here, we can answer them. As Julia said, ask the things, be brave, right? If you don't believe something or you've read something, like, ask us. You know, we've been asked everything over the years, and we probably wondered it ourselves. So we can point you to information, do your due diligence. You're learning about something very unique, at a very unique time, in an incredible model that allows you to be involved with it. So subscribe to this channel. I'm always sharing empowering conversations with people like Julia that are pioneering a different path in life, and you can come along with us for the ride. So I hope to see you guys on the other side.